Should be live now. Let's go over to my Restream account. Check that out. Hey everyone, I'm back. Alexander Napolin, attorney at large, live now. We're going to be discussing how insurance company lawyers lower the value of your injury claim. So one of the things that happens when you get hurt at work, or even when you get hurt in an automobile accident, I'm discussing California law here, you end up seeing a medical examiner. And the medical examiner reviews your medical records and then makes opinions on, where they think your injuries came from and how hurt you are. Well, one thing that can happen is when you're going through that process, the defense attorney will not forward all of your medical records to the QME, the qualified medical evaluator. If it's a work injury in California, or an IME, an independent medical evaluator, which is really just the defense attorney's expert in a personal injury case, like if you're hurt in an automobile accident. Those doctors are going to look at the records and then make decisions. If they don't have all of the records, if some are left off, then they might think that, you stopped treating at a certain date, or they didn't see an MRI, so they just really didn't think that it ever got done. So they said, they didn't even have enough injury, or they didn't feel enough pain, so they didn't get the MRI. So they must not have been very injured. It must just be subjective. So if you're injured and you're going to see these doctors, you need to make sure that you have a lawyer who's going to help make sure that all of those records get over to the medical evaluator. So that's my afternoon point that I'm making for everyone, is that you need to be careful when dealing with defense attorneys. They're not all going to do things that are going to hurt your case. Some defense attorneys will be honest and put everything in. I'm not saying anybody's necessarily being dishonest here either. Maybe the defense attorney just does it quickly and just leaves off some things, some items that should have been attached. They just didn't make it in because they're just doing sloppy work, or they just have something else to do in their life. So they're going over and they're going to go and do their own thing. What do you think? I'm in a blue shirt now, a collared shirt, instead of just my blue shirt, which was just my t-shirt last time. Let's see what we got going on. Oh, Johnny, thanks. Thanks for liking my live stream. I don't know if he's watching right now, but I'm going live. I have this over on Facebook. I have it on Twitch. I have it on my YouTube station. So yeah, one of the ways that the insurance company comes at you is they try to get the examiner to only see certain records, and then your case is then worth less money. And that's actually what I dealt with today. We're going back to do some discovery because of a case that I have where the examiner didn't get everything. This really affects the value of a claim, and we just can't go forward to a trial unless we have this particular point fixed. And the judge agreed that it needed to be fixed. So if you get a lawyer, if this has already happened to you, if you've already been to a QME, okay, or you're going to a QME, you've been injured at work, this is for California residents, then you would, if you work in California and you're working in California, you have an injury at work, you should be covered by workers' compensation. And that's what I do here. That's one of the things that I do. So these examinations that you have to go to as part of the workers' compensation claim, one of them is called a qualified medical evaluation or examination. And it's by an independent doctor, or a doctor that's supposed to be independent, supposed to be unbiased. But of course, all doctors have some way of viewing the world. They have how they perceive things, and some are more favorable towards finding injuries and extending medical treatments, and some doctors are more conservative with care, and they never recommend surgery no matter how bad someone is. So it's important that you have a lawyer who's going to do some research and really kind of understand how the doctor is going to approach it, so that your lawyer can talk to you about how hurt you are and look over your medical records, and then know how to approach the defense or your employer or their insurance company and get you a better settlement. Because maybe there's no way to combat the report that's come against you. Maybe that report is a very good report in so many respects. It just doesn't give you everything that you want. It might have been because there was some manipulation by the defense, or maybe a lack of attention by the defense. And sometimes it's because of the doctor that you have that's examining you. So these are things that you need to watch out for. And that's what we do here at Napolitan Accident Injury Lawyer. We're lawyers who help victims of personal injury and work-related injuries. And we also practice other types of law. And we also have lawyers that we're associated with, and family attorneys, bankruptcy lawyers, employment attorneys. So if you have had some other issue at work, maybe it's not a work-related injury, then you could, give my firm a call or jump into the chat here and ask a question. So this is how insurance company lawyers try to reduce the value of your injury claim. And we discussed that they're going to maybe leave off medical reports, or maybe they'll just forget to send something. Okay, maybe they'll choose doctors, or they will tend to choose doctors who will be more conservative about what needs you have. And some people, when they get in an automobile accident, they just go to their family physician. Their family physician just says, okay, well, here's some Advil. What about physical therapy? What about any chiropractic care? Okay, what about acupuncture or x-rays? Just medication, only medication. What about some, other types of therapies? So you need doctors that are going to provide you therapy, that are going to give you therapy after an automobile collision. So you might be talking to the insurance adjuster, and the insurance adjuster is just telling you, oh, well, go to your doctor or whatever. We'll take care of it. Just do whatever you want. And you're hurting, and you eventually get into your doctor like 2 weeks later. And now they just give you some medications, and then you just go home. And then another month goes by, and the meds, they don't really help you. They only hurt you. So you end up going back, and they just give you more meds. Well, be careful with that situation. If you've been in an automobile accident, or you've been hurt at work, your doctor might not really be exploring all of the types of treatments you could receive. And personal injury lawyers, workers' compensation lawyers, we have knowledge about what kind of treatments might be available to you. What kind of things do juries find to be reasonable? What kind of medical treatments can you have? And if you're not getting all of those treatments, if the doctor is just prescribing you medication, you're not getting x-rays, you're not getting MRIs, you're not getting physical therapy, there's not a doctor there writing down each and every day, this is how injured, this person is. It's really good to have that consistent therapy after an accident to prove to the insurance carrier about all that suffering that you had. Now, if it's a work injury, in many states, you can't get pain and suffering. If it's an employment, if you're suing your employer, you cannot sue your employer in California for negligence. You need to sue your employer for negligence. Only you can't do it. The law says no, you can't. There are certain situations where the employer might not have the right insurance. If your employer has no workers' comp insurance, or if it's another company that's working on the same job site as you under a more general contractor, but they're another company, and maybe they're delivering something and they hit you while you're working on the job or on the construction site, then that would be potentially a separate lawsuit where you could sue them for negligence and get pain and suffering. But in workers' compensation, if it's just your employer where you're injured, even through your employer's negligence in California, you cannot get pain and suffering. You can only get the benefits under workers' compensation. And I actually do a podcast. I have a podcast live stream, Inland Empire Workers' Compensation Lawyer, IE, with George Abuado, attorney George Abuado. And we've had 27 episodes so far where we've discussed different issues pertaining to workers' compensation, what you can get, what you can't get, what to watch out for. And I should throw a link. I'm going to put a link down on my profile here, and you'll be able to, if you're coming upon this video or you're watching me live, go ahead and you can grab that link on my profile. So that's the Inland Empire Workers' Compensation Lawyer podcast. It's also a live stream. We actually pre-record them and then launch them. That was the idea, that we'd be available in the chat. So I'll put that resource down here. So if you're hurt in California, no action for negligence against your employer if they have workers' compensation insurance. Now, there's something called a serious and willful that can increase your workers' compensation benefits, but it's not pain and suffering. So in order to get more pain and suffering on your insurance claim, you need to have that documentation each and every day with a chiropractor or physical therapist, or at least a couple times a week, where they're like writing down, okay, how are you feeling today? What's your range of motion? And then later on, that can be looked at by your lawyer, by the independent medical evaluator, by the qualified medical evaluator, who then's going to see, oh, well, here's the progression of the injury. Here's how we know that what happened in the incident has led to the injuries that are being complained about on the day of the examination. So if you have medical evidence of what happens to you, documentation, that's going to increase the value of your case, rather than just going to the doctor and getting some medications and just moving on with your life. Because then later on, you say, oh man, my back never got better. It's been a year. And you call a lawyer, or you go back to your doctor and you say, hey, my back's not better from the accident. Well, now you've created a huge gap in time where, you had an automobile accident or you had an incident and someone else is to blame for causing it, but you really just didn't get the medical follow-up. You just kind of went to the doctor once, or could have been during COVID. This could have happened like a year ago, right? And now you're just not, you just didn't get what you needed to get. Well, the insurance company is going to assume that you did not get hurt. Okay, so I've been talking for 12 minutes. It's my afternoon session here, my afternoon live session, how insurance company lawyers try to reduce the value of your injury claim. My name is Alexander Napolin, attorney at large, goes live. I'm a lawyer here in California. I am broadcasting right now to Twitch, to Facebook, and to YouTube. And basically working this into my workflow here at the office, going live and providing content to the general public. It's general in nature only. It's meant to help anybody who's listening who wants to come in and ask a question about the law. And also, if you have need for legal representation, I'm here. But it's just entertainment. We can talk about different things on the channel. I give out general information to help you understand the nature of injury claims. But it's not legal advice. And there is a disclaimer down in on my profile, and that says you should check that out. Okay. Let's see here. In the encoder. There's the chat for that. Well, I guess I should talk more because this is live. I'm just checking out myself on YouTube here. Oh, there I am, one watching. That's me. Streamed 13 minutes ago. Let me like it. Okay, good. Say something. Discussing how defense lawyers try to lower the value of your injury claim. That's what we're discussing today. So what other things can they do to lower the value of your claim? Well, they're going to poke holes in your medical records. They're going to go and look and want to know what happened in the past, going back as far as they can go. Did you ever injure that same body part? And eventually, if you can't get a settlement with the insurance carrier, you have to file a lawsuit. You have to file a lawsuit. The insurance company is going to be examining your underwear. They're going to be asking you questions about your past. They're going to want to see all your past medical records that are relevant. And there could be some private things in there. But generally speaking, if you're putting forth your body as an in issue, you're putting an injury to your body at issue, that pretty much opens up the defendant's right to have at an examination of your body. I mean, there's been objections about this, limiting the scope of what the defendant can find out about the plaintiff. Of course, there's reasonable bounds as to what the defendant can ask for. But it's pretty broad, because anything in your medical records that could lead to discoverable evidence about your injuries. So if you've been to the doctor and you've had complaints, but you can't really remember what you complained about, maybe the defendant's entitled to see those medical records because you don't really recall what's in them. I don't know. So anyway, I'm going to stop the stream now. I'll come back in about 30 minutes. I got to do some stuff, and going to take a